Okay, this is a video about the ugly side of hydroponics, the stuff that probably isn't talked about enough and stuff that I wish I'd known a bit more about, especially when I was getting started. If this is your first time here, then hi, I am Kiri, and I have been growing hydroponically for over 10 years now. And if this is not your first time here, then welcome back, my plant nerds. If you are struggling right now with your hydroponic setup and feeling like you cannot grow, or if you are a newbie feeling overwhelmed, it's probably good if you watch this video. Typically, you're going to see all the lush green lettuce and the tomatoes that are getting harvested year round. And while that is 100% true and the good part of growing hydroponically, if you can see behind me, there's a very dead looking system back there. And this is a video about how everything has gone wrong for me in this entire grow room and actually in another place that I'm growing, and why I am waving the white flag and why that's okay. I have been dealing with Spidermites and what I think is maybe some stem blight and even maybe some thrips all at the same time. And that's why I wanted to make this video so you guys don't feel like it's just something wrong with you, because my plant nerds, it is not. Hydroponics is soilless and we are indoors and there are more controlled conditions, and that can definitely reduce the chances of getting pests and diseases. It just doesn't make you immune. And anyone going into this thinking that it does is kind of setting themselves up for really feeling bad on themselves. And that's not what this should be. This should be fun. And honestly, even with everything going very badly, I'm still excited because it means that while I have to do the cleaning and I'm not going to enjoy that, I do get to start fresh. And there is something just exciting about a brand new system and all the possibilities of everything you could possibly grow. I try to make a habit of keeping my systems clean and checking my pH and checking my EC, and yet here we are. Sometimes problems can sneak up on you. So let's talk for a second a bit about what's going on behind me. In my rise garden, I had been doing a series kind of showing how it was growing over time. And one of the things I had planted very early on was pumpkins, mini pumpkins. But the leaves were not mini by any stretch of the imagination. And they covered a lot of things up. And that ended up dwarfing some of my peppers because I couldn't get enough light. And it just was going all over the system. And up top, I probably planted a bit too much, even though I'm always saying don't plant all the holes, and I didn't, but I still probably planted a bit much. I also planted strawberries. I'm probably not going to do that again indoors hydroponically, and I'm sure there are people that grow it wonderfully, and power to you. But I have found that you don't get a lot. They also are a magnet for spider mites, and that's what I had in there. Now, I'm not blaming the strawberries for the spider mites, but I'm just saying that when I grow them, the spider mites kind of show up. I had some parsley in there and I had some cilantro in there, and those can get really big and bushy, and it wasn't bad. Now, why is it at that point? If you have ever dealt with spider mites, by the time you notice those itty bitty little buggers, they're pretty much everywhere. So while they were obviously on the strawberries, I also saw some on the parsley and on the cilantro. They were down on the peppers. And they even went up my pothos that I had kind of hanging on top. He is still right over there. And I found a big nest on them and just everywhere. Because of that, I'm going to completely empty out this room. Completely. Everything goes. All the plants are going. All the house plants, everything is going out. I am turning this from a growing perspective into a dead room, not my grow room. I am going to take the opportunity to completely clean it out and do the renovation on this room that I have been wanting to do for a very long time. And then we will bring everything back in and start up all the systems again, which will be super awesome. Which brings me, after all of that, to what I would say is the very first point of this. If you are a new grower, do not blame yourself. It is not that you cannot grow. Life gets in the way. And honestly, to share a personal moment, one of the reasons that I wasn't as on top of all of this as I should be was, and I've mentioned it in a couple of comments and some people had reached out, but my mom passed away in May and she was kind of the reason I got into growing and I did all of this. And so that was incredibly hard. And honestly, I love my plant babies, but they were not my focus. Maybe for you, it is being pulled away with your kids or stresses on the job or who knows what it is. It is okay. And if it's not a lack of paying attention, then maybe it is a lack of knowledge. And both of those things can be fixed. You know, when you get through that rough time, you can come back to it, pay more attention, because that is one of the key things to success with this is just paying attention to what is going on. And if it's a lack of knowledge, you can educate yourself by watching videos on my channel or videos on other people's channels or going to the library and researching or just, looking at things on Google. I just don't want anyone watching this to think that they are the problem and that they cannot change. You absolutely can. As far as I'm concerned, nobody has a black thumb. The next problem that I encountered was what I think is stem blight. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I think it is from the research that I was doing. And that was actually not even happening in this room. That was happening over in my bedroom where I have my Farm 12XL and I was growing my tomatoes. And I'd recently just put up a video about getting a farm back and why I was doing it. It was for the tomatoes and I was kind of shooting the whole video to show you guys how great the tomatoes were going. And yeah, they're not. Here you can kind of see there's some damage on the stem and it started right at the bottom and it progressively worked its way up the plant. The roots actually look absolutely fine because I thought maybe there was some like root rot or something going on. I had also contemplated, should I take a cutting from this and then try and restart with that? But then in doing more research, I found out that like if it is the stem blight, it's actually in the tissues. Even if you don't see it, it is still kind of going around. So you don't want to save any cuttings. You don't want to put it in your compost. You just want to get that out and away. And then as if those two things were not enough, there was something going on in my aerogarden Harvest Slim, and it looked kind of like thrips damage to me. Again, didn't actually see any of the thrips. I'll show you what it looks like. You can kind of see where there's like some little indentations on the leaves, and from my experience, that's been from thrips, but I usually see them. Not 100%. I sprayed them with the insecticidal soap, and for that one, the issue seems to have gone away, but given everything else that's going on, those plants I was intending to transplant outside anyways, so I am going to get them outdoors and then clean the whole unit and shut that one down as well. It is okay to pick up the little white flag and wave it. Concede defeat. I could have probably gone through this entire bottle trying to get rid of them, and I may have missed some. And then if I think I've got them all and I start again, then that can be just lead to another failure. And especially if you're new, that would be horribly overwhelming. For me, anytime that I get into this situation, I prefer to just shut everything down, completely sterilize everything, and then restart it. I've actually picked up some new products that I want to try that are supposed to help protect the roots from root rot. Not that that was the issue I was having here, but they are also introducing some beneficial bacteria and microbes that can help prevent things like stem blight. So that is definitely going to go into the aerogarden farm. And then we have to look at what we can learn from this. I've always found that I learn the most when something goes wrong, because if everything is going perfect, you're just going on with your life. You may not change anything, you may not experiment. When things go wrong, that's when I find, at least for me, I take more of a step back and really look at what I was doing, questioning, was I checking my pH enough? Was I checking my EC enough? Were the units clean enough? Did I have my fan going? Was I paying enough attention? Did I use CalMag? Did I use, the beneficial microbes? Did I have my pest prevention in there? And that is great because then we have the opportunity to learn. And if you can prevent those issues in the future, then you learn that those changes you made a difference. And I am always trying to have a growth mindset. A, because I think it's interesting to learn things about this and I want to kind of level up and have more information to share with you guys, but also just be better able to grow. But you also have to give yourself grace in those hard times. And when you didn't know any better and you did make a mistake, okay, who cares? You don't know what you don't know. And I've definitely seen, I see it in my own comments sometimes on these videos, but even in groups on like Facebook and stuff where people are growing, people will put up pictures or ask for help. And then some people can be honestly just downright mean and be like, oh, like, how do you not know that? Just don't listen to those people. They're jerks. All we can do is try and grow better and try and learn more. And sometimes that is learning to concede and start over and find some joy in the possibilities of what's ahead in your growing adventure. And even if you lose a whole system, you still would have learned things as you were growing up until that point where things went bad. So it's not wasted effort. Don't ever tell yourself that. Think about what you learned. Think about what you might want to do differently. So even if things are going bad for you right now, I really want to encourage you to keep growing. Just know that you are not alone. It happens to even people that have been growing for a very long time. And if they say that it's not, I would call shenanigans on that. Keep learning and keep growing because you can do this. And now I'm going to go and clean that out and get on with my very exciting renovations. And if you are still with me at this point in the video, then please go ahead in the comments and let me know what problems you are struggling with. What ones have you overcome? What did you learn when something went bad? And maybe somebody else or I can learn from your comments that you share.